Hello students, this is Vikram Desai and today we are going to go out and see about the foundation course for our first year students. Now in the foundation course basically refers to an overview of an Indian society, the concept of disparity, the Indian constitution and the significant aspect of political processes. So one by one we are going to go out and see each chapter into depth. So let us go ahead and begin. So let us go ahead and start with the overview of Indian society. Now, when I talk about an Indian society, in India, as we know, we are multicultural society. We are the people who are going ahead and speaking a lot of different languages. We have different cultures. We have different states and union territories. Each state has its own specification. Each state has its own importance. So India is a multicultural society. We do not follow only one particular culture, but we go out and follow culture according to different states. So it we are really privileged to go out and be born in such a great country. Now when I talk about an Indian culture, there are certain main characteristics of Indian culture. We are going to see these characteristics one by one. The very first characteristics is multilingual. Lingual means it refers to the languages. In India, we go out and speak different languages. There are around 1,652 languages or dialects in India that we go out and have. Among them, 22 are the major recognized or official languages that we go out and speak. Whereas English is fluently spoken by 2 to 3% of India's population, and another 7 to 8% are our population can merely understand this language, but it is they are not able to go out and express themselves, or they are not able to go out and speak. They speak in a broken form. But again, English nowadays has become a very important language. Next point that we are going to see is multi-regional. Now we go ahead and we have different regions that we have in India. It consists of four important regions that are there. Now, when I go ahead and about speak about region, that is different country, different people, and different people stay in different regions. So we go ahead and divide this region into different forms. Like there are lands, there are plains. So in India, we have all the available landforms that are available here. Next that we are going to see about is the caste system. The caste system is we have basically go ahead and have different caste systems prevailed in India. Among them, in the olden times, that is from the time of the Varnas, they were divided into four major things that were Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So each one had their own importance and each one had their own duties to be performed in the Varna period. Then the next characteristics is intra-group cultural differences. There are intra-group differences that we have, that is each caste is further subdivided into subcaste and subcultures. So each one of them had their own cultural difference and they have their own way of going ahead and presenting themselves. Next is influence of the Western culture. We are majorly influenced by the Western culture. We nowadays try to go out and follow Western culture. Why do we go out and do that? Because we have been ruled by Portuguese, Britishers, and because of that, we got influenced to the Western culture. Prior to them, we never went ahead and had any Western culture. We used to go out and wear traditional clothes. We used to follow all the traditions. But as these people came and captured India and started ruling us, we started going ahead and adapting their culture. Next is my contributions from various races. Now, different races that exist in this world, they go ahead and contribute different things. Like the Porto Australoids, they made contribution to the art of pottery, cultivation of fruits and vegetations. From there, we adopted that culture. Then came the Dravidians. They developed the city culture. The Dravidians came and they started forming cities. Previously, majorly there were no cities, but there were towns that was there, and there were villages. But then these towns went ahead and they expanded themselves and formed cities. The Indian Aryan culture contributed themselves in the Vedic literature. That is how the Vedic literature came into existence. Then came the Islamic culture that has also influenced Indian society through architecture, so through their dress, through their food and cuisines that we go out and have. So these are the major characteristics of Indian culture, and we are lucky to go out and have such a beautiful country. And we are born in such a beautiful country with so many different talents and so many different cultures that we follow. Now let us go out and check out some of the major other parts, that is a demographic configuration. Now demography means the location that we have. India occupies about 2.4% of the world's land area that we have, and it is the seventh largest country by area in the world. But it has 17.5% of the world population, that is 60% of India's population lives in six states majorly. They are UP, that is Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. Now, it is really very surprising that we are growing at such a faster rate that by 2025 it is assumed that we are going to go ahead and put China behind, and we will be the world's first country to have major population. We will be going ahead and ruling back China as well. Now, my country or our country basically is gone ahead and divided into religion-wise composition of population. Different religion, different people follow different religion, and depending on the religion, this particular composition of population also goes ahead and takes place. The very first thing is Hinduism. Now, major of the Indian follow Hinduism. There are a lot of people who follow Hinduism. And as we know, like every culture, every tradition, and every religion has their own particular way of going ahead and having influence. They have their own way of going ahead and referring different books. So among them in Hinduism, Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the holy book of Hindus. So Hinduism advocates the four main values, that is called as a dharma, artham, karma, kama, and moksha. So these are the four base main important thing that is followed in Hinduism. So Hinduism goes ahead and plays a major role. Now, when I go ahead and speak about dharma, it is what it refers to the duties which individual must fulfill. It also includes various virtues, and it includes the discipline and the dedication towards our religion. Next comes as artha. It refers to the desire for power over nature and man. It is desire for wealth. Next comes as kama, means a desire for pleasure through five senses of sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell under the control of our mind. Our mind should have full control over it. And last refers to the moksha, that is refers to the state of liberation. It refers to the two stages of moksha, that is pravritti marga and nivritti marga. When I talk about pravritti marga, it consists of satisfaction of bodily needs and enjoyment of desirable objects of the world. Whatever enjoyment that we have, if once we go out and satisfy that, after that we move towards the next marga, that is called as nivritti, which consists of developing detachment from materialistic things of the world. Nivritti is like getting retired. So I go ahead and I go away from my family. I go ahead and choose my own way of going ahead and following the rules and regulations according to my wish. That is how Hinduism works. Next comes is Islam. The religion does not believe in idol worship. They do not go out and believe in worship of idol because they still think that the idol is still to be born. So it considers Prophet Muhammad as the greatest prophet, and the Quran is their most sacred book. Now here they have five primary duties that each and every Muslim goes ahead and does. Which are they? First is they believe in Allah. Second is the prayers five times a day. They have to pray five times a day. Next is giving alms. Alms is like a donation. Next, fasting for a month every year, that is called during the Ramzan. That is the toughest part that they go ahead and do. And next is pilgrim to the Mecca at least once in a lifetime. So that is their religious place, and they in once in a lifetime they should go ahead and travel there. Next thing that we are going to see, the next religion is Christianity. Again, Christian have faith in India, have been introduced by Aristotle Thomas, who reached Malabar coast in Kerala in 52 AD, and from that time the Christianity gained roots in India. Then Portuguese invasions that came to Goa, and in Goa they ruled nearly for 100, 200 years. That is 16th and 17th century. The holy book of Christian is Bible, and in Christian religion it is based on 10 commandments towards the Lord. What are the 10 commandments? The first one, You should have no God before me. You shall not take the name of your God in vain. Unnecessarily, you should not take name of the God. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Honor your father and your mother. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. That is not going ahead and doing any malpractices or any wrong things. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife. And you shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. So, whatever belongs to your neighbor, we cannot go ahead and claim it that it is ours, or you cannot go ahead and have a bad eye on them. That is what Christianity teaches us. The next thing that we are going to see is Sikhism. Now, the Sikhism, the founder of Sikhism is Guru Nanak, and the later ninth Guru who followed him preached against the hypocrisy in religion. They go ahead and refer the holy book called as an Guru Granth Sahib. And the religious symbol of Sikhs are five Ks. That is Kesh. They gave importance to hair. They never go ahead and cut the hair. Then it is Kanga. Kanga is comb. They always have a comb with them. Next is Kara. Kara is your bracelet. In normal terms, you call it as an Kada, that every religion now goes ahead and wears, but these people have special importance to it. Next is kirpan, that is sword. Now nowadays it is not possible to carry sword with them, so they have a small sword like thing that they always keep with them. And next is kacha, that is the shorts. They have to compulsory go ahead and wear the kacha. So that is how they go ahead and follow the 5 Ks. After this, the next religion that we are going to see is Buddhism. Now, Buddhists follow the teachings of Lord Gautam Buddha, and about 85% of the Buddhists are in India. And there are two major schools of thought in Buddhism. There are Tripitaka is the holy book of Buddhism. So they go ahead and follow Tripitaka. Now, the Buddha's teaching highlighted four noble truths, that is, all existence is dukkha. So, human life is full of struggle and sorrow. Everywhere there is what? There is sorrow. The cause of dukkha is craving. Desire is the root cause of sorrow. Why do we have dukkha? That is, why do we have sorrowness? Because we desire to have more and more. We are never satisfied with what we have. The cessation of dukkha comes from with the cessation of craving, that is removal of desire leads to removal of sorrow. If I remove from my mind the desire to have something, the sorrow also will automatically go. If I see if that I am happy with what I have, then automatically the happiness will come back to me. There is a path that leads for dukkha, and that there is a path that is called as an eightfold path that helps to remove sorrow and attain nirvana. The Buddha's noble eightfold path is right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort. Then we have right mindfulness and right concentration. So all these things refers to the Buddha. Next thing that we go ahead and follow is Jainism. Again, this is one of the most important thing that we have, or most important religion. This Jainism or Jain people are mostly located in Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Rajasthan, and they follow the preachings of Lord Mahavir. Text contains the teachings of Lord Mahavira are called as an agamas. Now here they have right perception, that is samyak darshan, right knowledge samyak gnana, and right conduct, that is samyak charitra. In order to promote a spiritual development and achieve liberation, Jainism has laid down 5 vows. They have 5 oaths that they take. The first is ahimsa, non-violence. They follow non-violence. Satya, they always try to go out and speak truth. Then Ashteya, that is not stealing. You should never go out and rob anything or steal anything. Brahmacharya, that is you can go ahead and have what? You can stay without getting married for your life. And aparigraha, that is aparigraha is renunciation or detachment. They are not attached to anyone. They go ahead and try to be away from their family. After this, the next thing that we are going to see is Judaism. It is a religion, philosophy, and way of life of Jewish people. Judaism is based on laws and commandments that God revealed to Moses on Mount Sinai. The holiest book of Jews is called as an Torah. It consists of set of 5 books of Moses, and Jews are religious minority in India. They have like we have very few people who follow Judaism. Now it is one of the first foreign religion to arrive in India and is recorded in history. Sorry. Zoroastrianism. The Zoroastrians or the Parsis follow the teachings of religious teacher Zoroaster. The principles of this religion is mentioned in their book that is called as in Zenda Avesta. It includes belief in afterlife and in the continuous struggle of the universal spirit of good versus evil. The Parsis are very small minority and most of the Parsis are located in Mumbai. Next thing is we are going to see the caste-wise composition of Indian population. So depending on the caste, these people were gone ahead and supposed it were there under different thing. Brahmins, the first caste that belongs to were Brahmins. They were the religious preachers, scholars, teachers, and many other religious things that they used to go out and do. So this was considered to be the highest caste. Then comes as what? Kshatriyas. They were called as a rulers or administrators and warriors. They used to go out and protect our particular region or protect our country. Next is Vaishyas. Now, they in this particular community there were moneylenders, there were artisans, traders, and there were different many people goes to and have their business in this particular path. Then came Shudras, that is the workers or laborers, wherein they were not allowed to go ahead and participate in any of the religious function of the higher caste people. They were considered to be one of the untouchables. So the factors responsible for growth of caste system in India, there were influence of religion. There were a lot of people who used to follow different religions, and because of this, the people went ahead and started having caste system. The static ruler social structure. In rural areas, there was a static structure that who will go ahead and form the society, who will stay where, all that structure was already fixed in the rural areas. Lack of education. Again, education plays a very important role. When people were illiterate, when they were not educated at that time, they had orthodox thinking, and because of that, this caste system prevailed. The existence of many races in India resulted in the formation of strict laws regarding discrimination, and because of that, each race was gone ahead and that was taken care. The rulers did not enforce uniform customs, so the kings and the rulers that existed in India, they did not go ahead and they did not follow the equal rights there or equal thing that was given to the people. They did not follow uniform customs. Because of this, the casteism came. The hereditary occupation of the people, especially in rural areas, kept alive the caste system in India. Now, if I want to go ahead and if I want to do some different job, I was not allowed to go out and do. Suppose my like my great grandparents were belonging from the field of Kshatriya. At that time, I was supposed to go out and only do go out and do what? Either administer the country or administer or warrior or the same profession has to be followed. Even if I was not interested, I was forced to do that. Sorry. The desire to dominate. Now, the upper caste especially went ahead and dominated the lower caste people. Among them, the Brahmins were considered to be the highermost caste, and the Shudras were considered to be the untouchables. So all these people were gone ahead and they had their what they influenced each other, and especially the Brahmins dominated everyone. There were other factors also, like the ideas of exclusive family, ancestor worship, and there were a lot of different things. Next thing that we are going to see today is gender-wise composition of population. Now in India, when we go out and talk about gender-wise composition, everywhere it is male to female ratio that we have. In India, we consider that 1,000 males per whatever number of females that we will have. So gender-wise composition is a very important thing that we have. Now, there were factors responsible for growth of caste system in India. Why caste system went ahead and grew in India? As we discussed, it was because of the influence of religion. It was because of the static ruler social structure. It was because of lack of education, the existence of many races that we had. Rulers did not enforce uniform customs. The hereditary occupations existed, the desire to dominate other caste, and there were other factors also. Gender-wise composition of population in India referred to how many males and how many females that was there. Now, there were many reasons for gender composition. It was preference of male child in Indian society, practice of female feticide, high infant mortality rate of females, and malnutrition of females, especially among the poor families. They were not given proper food to eat. Now we are going to go ahead and see about the linguistic diversity, how language also went ahead and diversified. The first thing that we are going to see is Indo-Aryan family of languages. Now, in this family, the Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, Urdu, Gujarati, all these languages came into existence. This particular Indo-Aryan family of languages consists of 72% of the India's population. Then there is Dravidian family of languages. It consists of the languages mostly from the South India, that is the Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, and Telugu. It covers 25% of the languages. Sino-Tibetan family of languages. It consists from the northeastern states, that is Sikhism, then Ladakhi, Sherpa, Bodo, Naga, Manipuri. These were the languages that are spoken by Sino-Tibetan family. And the last one is Austric, that is Austroasiatic family. It consists of different Munda or Kol group. It consists of languages from Monkerm, Khasi, Nicobarasi, Santali. So these were the different languages that comes under them. So our language, that is our linguistic diversity, has gone ahead and diversified into four main categories. What are the major languages that we go out and speak? Now, there are 22 languages that we are recognized as per the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Now, which are these languages? These are Assami, Bengali, Bodo, Dogri, Gujarati, Hindi, Kannada, Kashmiri, Konkani, Malayalam, Manipuri, Marathi, Nepali, Oriya, Punjabi, Maithili, Sanskrit, Santhali, Sindhi, Tamil, Telugu, and Urdu. These are the main 22 languages that are recognized as per the 8th schedule. Majority of the people in India speak Hindi, that is 41% of the people speak Hindi in India. States on language basis, even we have states that are based on the language basis. There are various states that are established, like when we go out and talk about Maharashtra, it is what Marathi is spoken in Maharashtra. If you go towards Karnataka, it is Kannada. When we go to Tamil Nadu, it is Tamil. When we go to Kerala, it is Malayalam. So these are the languages that are based on these states. Every state has its own language. Official language of India. Hindi is the official language of India, and English is the associate language. The official language bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha in 1963. So, official languages of states. As far as states are concerned, the Indian Constitution has allowed the respective state legislature to recognize some languages for intra-state official transactions. So, when we go in different states, we might go out and use different languages. So, we might face problem of not understanding that language. So, official languages has been recognized by them, and so we go ahead and use Hindi overall. So, wherever we go in India, Hindi can be used and it can be understood by different people. The next part that we are going to see is about the regional variations that we are going to go ahead and study in next lecture. So we'll stop here and thank you for going ahead and listening.